The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Pizzey, and I'm the Technical Director here at HPXL. And I spend most of I'm the main developer of the EstimatorXpress software. There are another couple of people that help out with particular parts of it, but yeah, I'm mainly the person to blame. So I'd like to take you through the latest update that's been out. It's been out for around a month, but I only turned it on so that your software would tell you about it in the past couple of days. So you may have seen the email, you may have already downloaded it and been using it for a while, or you may only just have found out about it, or indeed only not got it installed yet. So just before we get into it, hopefully in the controls that you've got, you can see my screen. Hopefully you can hear me talking. I'm not just talking to myself because I forgot to turn my mic on. And you should have a question section. So if anything comes to mind as I'm going through, please fire questions in there at me, and I'll try to keep half an eye on those and answer them either as we go along or at the end. I'll review any questions that have come in. So yeah, if you have anything that you'd like me to talk about or go into in a bit more detail, then please do let me know. Again, just before I do get into it, I will just warn you that in the world we live in, I am at home with two small children. So if they come bursting into the room singing the Star Wars theme tune or something, I apologise in advance. But hopefully we'll be left alone. Okay, so yeah, the thinking behind the reason behind this update, I suppose, is that I've been spending a bit more time on support of late. Those of you that have had the software for a while will remember Josh, who used to be on support. He left at the start of the year, and we were about to replace him when COVID happened. So we paused that for a while to see what on earth was going to happen with the economy. So yeah, I've been doing a bit more support to help Tom out, let him have a lunch hour, etc., and some time off. So yeah, you may well have spoken to me recently. So I've been able to spend a bit more time, talking to people that are using the software or learning the software, more importantly. So it's been really interesting for me both to to see how well people are getting on and rewarding from that aspect, but also to see some of the challenges that people are having, both new to the software, I suppose, either completely new to the software, or those of you that have been with us for many years, but were still using EstimatorXpress 2018 or previous when it was in Excel. I know we still have some people that are still using that version very happily, and haven't swapped over to the 2020 version. So yeah, it's been interesting to see the challenges that different people have, and the things that I'd noticed that I wanted to try and help out with. On the new user side, we now encourage you all to use quote templates, because we believe it's a quicker and easier way of compiling an estimate. But from if you don't have the background and understand the estimating calculators or workbooks as they used to be called, that build it up. People have been happily working their way through and seeing a cost in the top right hand corner, but it's only really when you get to the quote and you look at it and you say, well, oh, that's not quite right, I need to change that. How do I change that? So it's quite hard. It's quite hard to track down once you're looking at the customer quote and you say, oh, I need to alter that. That needs to be in a different build phase, or I want a different resource, or that price doesn't look quite right. You then have to work out where it is within the job, within the estimate. So there are reports to help you track that down. You then have to go into the main estimate to find the estimating calculator, open it up, open the right worksheet, find it in the list of resources, and then make the change that you have to make. And that it's a bit it's not a great process. It takes a bit of time, and then you get onto the next page of the quote, you see something else, and have to start all over again. So understandably, that's something that we wanted to address. Just understanding a bit more about what goes into that price in the top right hand corner, and then talking to a few people that have used the software over the years and are used to doing it manually and building up the price by going in and out of each of the estimating calculators, that have been trying out quote templates. A bit disappointingly for me that they some of them have said, well, it doesn't save me any time, I'm going to go back to the old way of doing it, sort of thing, because they're used to being able to edit the material resources, and quite rightly they say, well, if I need to add a sundry, I can't do it from here, sort of thing. So they were saying that they were doing it twice. They were using a quote template, they were then reviewing it in the main estimate. So it wasn't, they didn't really see the benefit. So I wanted to do something about that, so that everybody gets more from estimating it in this way. The third thing that I wanted to do something with was the fact that you don't have the same control to decide whether you want to add something as an additional column into an existing worksheet, or whether you say, no, I want it to be a new worksheet. And for those of you who don't understand the subtlety of those two decisions, it's kind of saying, I want to add another of the same thing, and it's the same specification, in which case you'd add another column. So a worksheet is the specification, and so just adding another column says, yeah, I just need to add another one of the same spec. So if you were doing what we've got on screen here and estimating it manually, then you may do each wall as a separate column, and you'd enter in the length and the area of openings manually on each one, and that's fine. But sometimes you need to say, well, actually, for some reason, this wall on the back has a different, has a different block in it, or has a different insulation. In which case, you need to add it as another worksheet, so that you can say this is a different spec to the other ones. So that was just a kind of technical issue that you don't have the flexibility currently to do that from within a quote template. So they were the they were the main things that I wanted to do something about, and it was all through talking to people and seeing where they were struggling a bit. So hopefully hopefully it's a good update that's addressed those issues, and it will make sure that you can get on and get through things a bit quicker than you have done up to now, which is always what we're striving for. Make it easier, make it quicker, get you back out on site if that's where your heart is, rather than spending your evenings, or too much of your evenings, pricing up work, kind of thing. Right, so let's jump into it then. So the first thing you'll notice is the job cost in the top right hand corner there. That's changed. So it used to be just the construction cost. So we've added the profit and overhead and the sales price. I know that a lot of people, when they're pricing up work, they'll have a sort of a sale price in mind that they're aiming for, that they're hoping it will come out for. So it just makes it easier to see how you're doing versus that. And also, I think that there was just generally a bit of confusion as to what that number was. So hopefully, hopefully the breakdown will clear that up. And then the main thing here is this new cost breakdown button that you'll see at the top. So if I just click on that, so this is giving us an overview of the job in its entirety. So you'll see there are 3 tabs along the top, a couple of graphs, and then an editable resource breakdown report. So the first one here is cost by estimating calculator, and basically you can move your mouse and say right, let's look at the Apex Truss roof. Click on it, and it will then show you the breakdown on the right hand side of these are the different types of resources and the costs associated with it. The next tab along, maybe a little bit better to review it by, is a cost by build phase. So this is the same format that the quote will be in by default. So you can then look at this and say, right, let's look at masonry shell, for example, and you then see the breakdown. And if you want to look at one item in more detail, so say I wanted to see what that £21,000 of a bricklayer was doing, if you double click on that, it will jump you to this third tab, the editable resource breakdown, and it applies some filters at the top here to say, right, we were looking at the build phase of masonry shell, and we wanted to look at the bricklayer. So it's filtered this report so that you can look at just that item. So you'll see down here it's broken down by the different estimating calculators. So internal cavity block walls, brick and block walls, and so on. And it will show you what the resource is and the price, and then both how many hours, how many gang hours, not man hours, gang hours, for hours of a 2-in-1 gang, and then the square meterage of work. So it's a really nice way of reviewing what's in it. You know, it's good to sense check. You know, so that's 309 square meters of bricks and 309 square meters of blocks in my external walls. You know, and you can get a feel for whether that's about right. So it's good from that perspective. So if I wanted to look at the masonry shell as a whole, I could remove that bricklayer. Resource type drop down. So now you can see all materials, labour, plant, the full breakdown. So if for example we wanted to change the insulation, maybe you needed a different size of insulation. So there are a few buttons along here. So the first one here is to change the resource. So I can, instead of having to, so previously you'd have had to go in, find the right estimating calculator, go in there to do it. So you can do everything from this one dialog now. So if I go to change the resource, so this is my 90mm. So maybe I need to add a new one. Maybe I just want an 80mm instead. I can directly click to new resource, change that to 80mm. I can update those descriptions too. Unit cost, so let's set that to 850. So yeah, basically adding a new resource in, click OK. That's then added it into the price book. And then if I select that, just confirm the usage factor and the build phase are okay, click OK, and that's then updated the price price for that both here and the total price in the background there. So yeah, you can use it to swap resources. If you said, well, actually no, I don't get it for $8.50 on it, I need to change that price, the second button will allow you to edit that resource. So you could change it to $8.25, for example. Click OK, and that then recounts the entire job. So if obviously the product that I just did it on, I'd only just added, so it's only going to be that line. But if you were to, say, if I were to say, oh, I don't pay 41 for a bulk bag of sand, edit that resource, then obviously that's used in lots of different places. So it would update them throughout the job if you change the price of that. And again, historically, to do that, if you realised that you needed to change the price of something, you actually needed to leave where you were, go into the job settings on the left here, into the price book, and make the edit there, and then go back to where you were before. So it's all about trying to stop you having to jump around the software into different sections. And when you realise, oh, I need to change this, you can do it from there. The final button here that I'll just show you is just this edit one. Just brings up the edit resource dialog. So if you another common one that people have said, I want to change the build phase that this item's in. So you can find it in here. And you can just come in and change the build phase and click OK, and that will update. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, that is this new dialog. So you can you can play with the filters. It's got a nice simplified view to review the prices. I assume, yeah, you can order it by cost. So if you wanted to look at the items that were most expensive to least expensive, for example, you can review it that way. So you can filter and sort and review and then make changes directly in there. Okay, so that's the cost breakdown. Right, there's a couple of questions come in. Let me just see, because I think they're relevant to what I was doing. Okay, so yeah, so somebody's asked about the product that I added in. If I just go back to it, so I was in the masonry shell, and I was in my brick and block cavity wall, and it was the cavity insulation, wasn't it? There we go. Right. Okay. So yeah. So when I added that in, I left the supplier as the HBXL price tracker, or HBXL price tracker plus. So somebody's just asked what would happen when you do a price download, because I've left that as HBXL price tracker. If I if I just go back into the edit resource dialog, so I'll just come out of this and I'll press this button instead. Actually, let me go into one that's actually linked to the web, so that I can show you. Okay, so here we go. Right, so just selecting another item that I haven't added myself, you'll see there's this tick box, update with download. So any product that, obviously the software downloads prices that we keep an eye on and update, and we send down the latest prices. So any products that, and that is what the HBXL Price Tracker Plus service is, and Merchant as we have it. So when you download the prices, it will update them. So for any product that is linked up and downloads in that way, you have this tick box, update with download. So if you wanted to, you could untick that and you could change the price. And that would mean that even though it's still the merchant is still HPXL price tracker, you're saying, I want to manage the cost of this myself because you know, I know what I paid for it and it's not what you've got it set as. So you can do that with any of our products. You can override them, and when you view them in the price book, you'll see that I believe that the cost shows up as red to warn you that it's one that you have to manage yourself then. And you can always retick it, and it will override whatever you had set. So if you add your own product and you don't change the merchant, it's not going to update on downloading. Basically, is the roundabout way to answer that question. So it doesn't matter if you forget to change it to your own merchant. There's some other factors involved in knowing which products it's going to update the price to and which it isn't. Okay, so somebody's asked whether there's a way to compare the prices when you change a product or price. So, I mean, when you go to change a product, obviously you can see on this screen there's a list price column, so you can see what the and then after discount adjustment what the purchase price is. So you can obviously compare on there. With regards to once you've actually selected to change an item, then you've obviously got the usage factor comes into it. So if for example you were comparing two different types of insulation, and one was a board insulation and one came in a pack of you know, a random sort of, I don't know, 6 square meters, then I guess it's quite hard to compare those two things. You do have to engage the brain to say, well, you know, what one is so much. You'd have to work out one is so much per square meter, and I'm comparing that against the one that I can see is currently this much per square meter. So there isn't. Because when you change things over, it's down to you to update the usage factor. So if I changed it from this from a sheet, 2.4 by 1.2 sheet to a pack of insulation that's 6 square meters, then it's down to you to update that usage factor. So there isn't an easy way of comparing the meter squared rate in that instance. Yeah, so you just need to do some sums yourself when you're deciding which one to specify. Okay, and one more question is asking whether you can put quantities onto specific build phases. I'm not sure exactly which screen I was on when you asked that question, so apologies. Within anything in here, obviously you can't break up a calculated quantity and say I want so much into this build phase and so much on another build phase. You can only do each line item and say I want to change this line item to a different build phase. So yeah, there isn't any way of splitting them up, other than if you have them on different worksheets, as I'll come on to. So if you had 2 walls on different worksheets, then you could have the same line item assigned to a different build phase on each. That I'm not quite sure why you'd want to do that, but yeah, so that's the only real way of doing it. But you can, yeah, for each line item, it has a different build phase. Okay, so let's move on to the next bit now. So just to show you this, I'll just jump down to roofs, and then if I press the resources button, so because let me just show you the picture again to explain what's going on. So because my sample here is a house with 2 projections, when I do the roof, it's giving me 3 different options. So it's saying the main apex roof, and then you've got one apex valley here and another apex valley there. So if I go back in and I say I want to view the resources wizard, it then says, well, which roof section do you want to look at it for? So I will go into the apex roof section. So we've updated the resource wizard to have similar functionality to that I've just shown you. So we've got the normal resource wizard that you'll all hopefully have seen before and be used to. And then we've added a couple of graphs in. So there's the cost by build phase. And again, you can click on the different items. You can double click on a type to jump you to the editable resource breakdown. We've also got a cost by resource type, so materials, labour, plant, and you can select the different items on the graph again, and you can then drill down. So if I wanted to look at the plaster, for example, I could double click on that, and that's then showing me that there's 94 square meters of fixing plastering to the roof ceilings and applying the finish. So yeah, it's exactly the same functionality. It's just viewing it for one estimating calculator. So in this case, the apex truss roof. Yeah, so that's the changes that we've made to that resource wizard button. And you'll also see that this is a new button, and this allows you to jump straight to the estimating calculator. So you don't now need to go from the quote template into the main estimate and open up the estimating calculator. I know that it takes a lot of time. Well, it takes a lot of time to come back to the quote template. It takes several seconds for the software to load this page back up. So yeah, with all items, you can then just jump. If I take the apex roof again, you can jump straight into the estimating calculator from here, and it then opens it up as a window. So you can see right there the dimensions that I've entered, and then you can jump straight into the specified resource view, and importantly the sundry items. So if you need to add in anything additional, you can come to here and then you can click on any of the buttons along the top to add in additional resources. Okay, so the next thing I wanted just to show you was if I go into rooms, this is partially something that was in the last update from a few months ago. So I'll admit that now. I'm not claiming that we've done all this very recently, but I just wanted to go into it just in case you hadn't picked up that it was there, because I'm very conscious that we add new features in, and we send around a couple of marketing department send around a couple of emails out to you all to tell you what we've done and what's in the update. But if you don't read that, then you'll probably never find it. So if I go into so I've just added two rooms in here just so that I could demonstrate this to you. So I've got a bedroom and a lounge, and to each one I've added internal renovation. So firstly, previously we didn't actually have we didn't have a resource wizard button before, which was just an oversight on my part. So I basically there are a few places that didn't have access to the resource wizard. before, so I've just gone through and made sure that everywhere does, and everywhere has the new estimating calculator button as well. So if I go into the estimating calculator here. Okay, so this is internal renovation, and I'm saying that I need to replaster 2 rooms. So I've done the same thing in the lounge and the bedroom. So this is what I was saying about if you having more control to be able to say this is different to that. So in this example, it's going to be a different plastering system in my lounge because it's to a block wall, and my bedroom upstairs is to stub wall. So I want to do a slightly different plastering system. So what you would do is you can use this new move column button. So I'm going to say, right, I'll select my bedroom one. I'm going to say move column. So it's saying, right, where do you want to move it to? So I'll just take a copy of the worksheet. And I'm going to call it bedroom renovation. Excuse me. So you'll see columns disappeared, and down the left-hand side here, with our list of worksheets, bedroom renovation has appeared. So just to name that up, I will then just rename this one to lounge renovation. Okay, so I'm going to go to my bedroom renovation and my calculated resources. So this is the thing that I just wanted to pick up on that you may not have found yet. There's this button, load spec / mini spec to worksheet, and it's rather good in a few estimating calculators, internal renovation being one of them, in that we have lots of different plastering mini specs. So my colleague Andy was very busy adding in all sorts of different options. So double layer board and tile backer board, and plaster dot and dab to battens to stub work, all sorts of different variations, and then wet plastering options at the bottom there, and there's some insulated plasterboard as well. So yeah, it's not everywhere yet. We'd like to get it in more places as time goes by, but at the moment it's internal renovation, and it's also some of the new estimating calculators that we released recently with the view of getting them into some new garage, can't think of the word, mine's gone completely blank, garage renovation templates. So they're still being worked on. But the estimating calculators we did release recently. So anyway, back to this. So I don't want to dot and dab onto my stub walls. I'm going to change it to plasterboard to stub work, and then excuse me, and then I've just noticed that it's saying plasterboard to timber to new build. So I'm gonna change that and pretend that this is in an existing house. So any spec linked calculator will have this button in, will have this dialog. So another really good use of this is that if you're doing a timber frame build, but you need some walls that are traditional. So if, for example, you do a timber frame, if you pick a timber frame spec and then do a block wall, it doesn't actually put any blocks in because it's assuming that you're going to put a timber frame panel there instead. So if you actually want to do a block wall, then historically it was quite tricky to combine the two. So now you could come in and you could have by default it would be set to a timber frame spec, and you could change it to a new build or an extension spec, which then which then doesn't have those hasn't removed some resources and replaced it with an included in timber frame marker. So we'll actually price those in. I know that our estimating service, for example, that obviously use our software, they were that made them very happy that they were able to mix and match between traditional and timber frame within the same estimate. So yeah, I'll click OK. It then applies those specification or mini specification changes to this worksheet, and I'll press close there. So yeah, that's yeah, I wanted to show you that, which is existing, and the move column button, which is the new part of it. So it really, you know, you've got the ultimate flexibility now to be able to say this needs to be different to that, move it, and then to tweak the specification, either using those mini specs or by doing it manually. Okay, some of these, just reviewing a couple of comments that have come in. Okay, so let me see. So somebody's asked whether if you click not required by accident, can it be undone? I'm afraid it can't. No, we haven't got an undo with a resource change. So the only thing that will be of a slight help. So if I go into an estimating calculator. So if you do it from here, if you do it from the quote template and open it up, and you I don't know, maybe you selected a few things and you right click and do not required. Oh no, I only meant to do, you know, maybe I selected one too many and I actually wanted that. I can't remember what it was. If you press the X in the top right hand corner here, you actually get the option to not save your changes. So that is, it's not quite an undo, but it's oh, let me just start again with that. So that's but that's only an option if you're using it through the quote template. If you're opening the estimating calculator in this way, anything that you do through the main estimate, once it's done, and yeah, I'm afraid we don't have an undo button. But yeah, if you start using the software in this way, then you know, as long as you haven't made too many changes whereby it's gonna take more time to do them again, having come to this screen, then yeah, you can always just X out of it now and say no, don't save my changes. Yeah. Oh, on a related note, which I'd forgotten about. We've added a few options into the EstimatorXpress options, which, yeah, whilst it comes to mind, I'll just show you. On the don't save thing, we've had a few very sad instances of people that have and my chuckle was because it's mainly Simon, one of our estimators, that's fallen foul to this. Although there have sadly been a few users as well, in a rush, closing it down and click don't save by mistake, and then you obviously lose however many hours work you've done, and understandably go through various emotions of rage to crying. So I've added an option here: don't allow a job to be closed without saving changes. So basically, it's making the software more like it used to be when it was in Excel. In that, yeah, you're not allowed to close it down without saving. So if you're if you've had an accident before and lost work, then you'll probably want a ticket so that doesn't happen again. And if you fear doing it by mistake, then yes, that option's there now, to be able to do it. Another couple of things whilst I'm in here, these have been added in this latest update. In fact, I think one is in the latest and one is going to be in the next. The way that the build program works, if you've got some build phases that have been used, but maybe you've set it to not required, so there isn't actually a cost, will still keep putting it into the build program because you've actually got specified lines in the reports. So by ticking these tick boxes, it basically says anything with a 0 quantity or a 0 cost will not then go through to the report. So that could be of a help to you. The only thing that I would say is that if you're doing something like a timber frame, then it's by saying don't export resource lines with a 0 cost, then anything that you've set as included in timber frame won't then feed through to the reports or the quote. So if you like to see those, just to check that you to either show just I guess to check from yourself that that you've omitted the right things and that they're covered elsewhere. Just be wary of that one, because it'll mean that those included in timber frame markers won't go through, and you may not notice something that you've forgotten to include. If that you can get your head around that double negative. Okay, right. Let's see. Yeah, just a couple of other things I had on my list to mention to you all. If I go down into the structural opening section, so I spoke to a customer in the last couple of months who showed me his structural openings page, and he had a large opening about a dozen times, and he said, I need to change one of them, but I don't know which one it is. Can you do something about that so that I can name them? Which was an extremely good point. So yeah, in this version, what I've done is, again, using the Open Estimating Calculator button. If I go into here and then I use that rename worksheet one, so you can give this a better name. So I'm going to call this my lounge opening 3.6 meters. So if I rename that to that, and if I press close, that then updates it on this page. So you can then do that for each one. So I could call this, so this is a 4.2. So I could call this my extension opening 4.2 meters. And again, that then updates it there. So yeah, that I believe you can do that for all the openings. So structural openings, doors, windows. Because I know with windows, you could copy a window and end up with the same description twice. So yeah, you can do that there. It's a small thing, but yeah, it's a handy one when you end up with lots of the same things. Okay. Then the last thing that I want to show you is just within the quote. So if I now jump to the written quote, and let's go to the structural openings section. Okay, so the other thing that's come up a few times as I've been speaking to people is this sort of note, and the frustration in how to get rid of them. So each item has a location, and this is the default location that's been set, and I haven't changed, because the template that I took was an Apex roof house with 2 Apex Valley roof double story extensions on it. So that's, yeah, so if you want that to make a bit more sense, you either need to go through lots of items changing the locations, or now there's an option just to hide them. So it's always fun trying to find an option within the quote. So on the build phases tab, if you scroll down, here we go, resources, consolidate locations. If I tick that and click apply, then that just removes that extra layer of detail. So yeah, that was one I wanted to mention, because I know that certainly a few people that I've spoken to that have been yeah, not enjoyed trying to chase those around to get rid of them. That will hopefully help them out. The other thing that's changed in the background is just the ordering of the items here. There wasn't there didn't seem to be a tremendous amount of logic to the order that they were put in. So that's had a bit of attention. So hopefully it will read a bit better than it did. Okay, so that's basically the my quick overview of the new features within this latest update. So yeah, hopefully, I mean the intention certainly has been from our perspective that yes, we do want people to use quote templates. We think that it's an easier and quicker way of doing it, and hopefully now it's got all the flexibility that it needs to be able to do, you know, for even if you've come from the world of doing it manually, that you can see the benefit of doing it that way and building up the estimate in that way, and you've got all the functionality that you need. And then again, from the perspective of people that are new to the software, then hopefully the cost breakdown feature is kind of demystifying what's in this price, and you've now got the tools to be able to make the changes that you want to adjust prices and change resources and assign things to different build phases. Yeah, on that, just a minor point on that front as well. On the assigning to different build phases. If I can remember where I put it. Okay, so on this build phases with an EstimatorXpress option, this tab is new fairly recently. I think half of this was added in a previous update, and then this bottom section has been added recently. So yeah, a couple of things that have come up through users of late. One being that they didn't agree with the build phases that we'd put door frames, doors, and windows in by default, and were getting frustrated that to change them they had to do it each time or do it in lots of places. So if you similarly would like those items moved to a different build phase, then this option is there to help out. So I've got this set up to say, right, so this is sundry items within estimating calculators. So doors and windows, you'll find that the door and the window are sundry items, and the frame and the labour associated with it. So I've got this set up to say all door frames going to joinery first fix, all doors into joinery second picks and all windows into joinery second picks. And then so that was there in a previous update, but again, probably a lot of you weren't aware that it's been added. This bottom option is one that I believe is just added in this update, and it's mostly for this one item of return to ease door. It's yeah, a lot of people will have noticed a small amount for each quote in a build phase called completion, and the idea behind that was to return to ease doors. But understandably, a lot of you didn't like that because it was suggesting to all of your customers that you come back later on to ease all their doors, and you didn't necessarily want to advertise that you do that because it's it's not a lot of fun going back to do it. So yeah, I think a lot of people have always wanted to keep the cost in, but move it somewhere else so that you didn't have a £20 bill phase of completion that people are always asking, what on earth's that? So yeah, and again, because it was a sundry, it was something that you needed to move manually each time. So yeah, we've added a setting in there so that you can type in every time a description of return to ease door appears, I want to add it to this build phase rather than completion. So yeah, that's another option that's been added. So yeah, I think that really is everything from me. So let me just go through the questions that you've sent in whilst I've been going on there. Okay, so somebody has asked about how to update to this version. So if you, as I say, so I turned on the notification through the software. I think it was yesterday. It could have been Monday. No, I'm fairly sure it was yesterday. So basically, what the software will do is it will download the update in the background, and then the next time you open it up, it will tell you it's there. So what it should do, if you open the software yesterday and had it open for a while, it would have downloaded the update, and then if you open it up today, it would have told you there's an update available. Do you want to install it? So if you haven't had that message yet, if you open it up, use it for a bit, and then reopen it, it will probably tell you. If you want to force it and do it yourself, then go to our website. So from help.hbxl.co.uk. And from here, you can click on software updates. And from here, EstimatorXpress 2020 updates. And this then gives you the list of all the items that we've talked through today that are new. And there's a download button there. The only issue with doing it this way is that you will need to enter a user ID and password. So if you remember what they are and have a note of them, then great. If you can't work out what they are, so the user ID number, you can verify within the software if you go to Help and About EstimatorXpress. So you'll see right there is my user ID number. So that's how you can find the user ID number to check what your latest one is. Yeah, there's an option to reset a password if you can't find it. But yeah, it's easier just to let it download manually now that it is actually on. So open up the software, use it for a bit, and then when you reopen it, it should then have downloaded it in the background. Yeah, and it will say there's an update available. Do you want to install it? Okay, so yes, very good question. Somebody sent in asking about whether this works if it's been imported from Plans Express. not quite yet. I've it works on my computer, but it won't work on yours just yet. So I've I have now done the cost breakdown button. So for people that either don't use quote templates, so either do an import from PlansExpress or still want to do it manually, in the next update that we release, there's a cost breakdown button from within main estimate there. But yeah, at the moment, it's only that button's only available from a quote template. But yeah, in the next update, those of you that import from PlansExpress or do it another way, will have access to that functionality. Yeah, I just didn't quite get round to doing it for that initial release. Okay, so okay, so somebody's asking about saying that they can see how to import estimates and want to know how to export estimates. So exporting, yeah, with the old software, with the EstimatorXpress 2018 that used to run in Excel, you used to have to export estimates to be able to transfer them. Nowadays, because an estimate is a file just like a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or a PDF that you're sent is. So if I look on my desktop, for example, I will have lots of, let me see. If I look at my desktop, I'll have lots of exjob files. So whenever you save a file, it will ask you where you want to save it, and you'll be putting it, I don't know, in your documents folder or on your desktop like I do, or maybe in OneDrive or Google Drive or whatever, so that you get a bit of free backup from it, which is always a good idea. So yeah, you can just move this file, this exjob file, which is your estimate, that contains everything: the price book, the spec, the estimating calculators, the quote settings. So you can move that to a different computer. You can email it to yourself. You can put it in a Dropbox or a OneDrive or a Google Drive folder that's shared with another computer. And you can then use the import button. So yeah, we don't have an export button. You just need to find where the file is and move it. And if you're unsure where your file is, you can either, I think probably if you open it and press the Save As button, then that will probably so that'll tell you. Actually, no, it hasn't opened up the folder that it was in. But if you go to the job screen, then one of the columns on the job screen is to show you the location of the file, and also from the dashboard, if you hold your mouse over the job where you've got your list of recent work, if you hold your mouse over the job for a second, it will come up in a pop-up box showing you where that file is saved. Somebody's picked up that my PC clock isn't quite right. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I've actually it's nearly midday here. I'm based in California. So have been for about the last 8 years. So I've working from home isn't a new phenomenon for me. Yes, so that's why some of you will have been able to receive emails and the odd phone call after hours, because it isn't really after hours for me. Okay. Yes. So somebody else has brought up there was an issue with doing a quote by if I just go into go into a quote. So there's a quote by estimating calculator, and there was an issue within the last version of the software that it wasn't always listening to the order that you wanted those to appear in the job. So to order them, just for those of you who aren't aware of it. So if you go to main estimate, and there's a reorder button at the top here. So this then allows you to choose what order you want things to appear in a quote by estimating calculator. So a quote by estimating calculator is going to have these headings that you see here. So you drag and drop them into the order that you want them to, and it will reorder them here. But then when you get to the quote, you'll see on the opening page there is a just wait for it to load. But there's going to be an option here to choose what type of quote it is on the main settings. So we have three types: by build phase, which is the one that most of you will have seen, and then we've got by estimating calculator, and also now by location. So if you select estimating calculator, then it should then put them in the order that I've just rearranged them to. So yeah, in the last update, it sometimes did it and it sometimes didn't, and you had to know that if it wasn't in the right order, you had to close the job and open it back up again, and then it would put them in the right order again. But it sometimes didn't reorder them based on what you did if you just went back and forth. So, but that issue has been addressed, and so yes, you shouldn't have to do that anymore. Okay, and then just one other one other question was somebody that didn't quite make it to the start and wanted to know how I got into that cost breakdown. So if I go back to the main quote template, so that you can see this is taking it a little bit to load up again. So yeah, this was the reason why it isn't good to continue have to jump between the outputs and the quote template again to change things. So the cost breakdown button is at the top here, or it may be if your resolution isn't quite as big as mine is, then it may be on a second row. Or if you've got a Mac, then it's probably about a quarter of the way across because you've got a massive screen. But yeah, so it's the cost breakdown button there, and that then launches the dialog. So this is cost breakdown. This is the entire job, and then on the resource wizard button, that's looking at just one estimating calculator. But yeah, so this is the way to review it for the job as a whole. Okay, so that's not bad timing. An hour and 3 minutes. That's great. So yeah, if there aren't any other questions, I will I'll end the session there. Okay, one other question that's just come in, just asking about running the software on a Mac. Yes, you do still need to use Parallels to run it on a Mac. So yeah, we haven't rewritten it to be natively running on a Mac, I'm afraid. So yes, to run any of our software, you do need to run either Parallels or there's something called Boot Camp. Whereby you can choose when you load your Mac up whether you want to run it in the Mac OS or Windows. But yeah, most people use a program called Parallels, and you just get a Windows virtual machine on it. So yes, that's still the same case. Oh, okay. So somebody has asked how to edit the job name and description. That's a very good question. So there are a few places to do it, and one setting that I would recommend that you all set so that you don't have to remember how to do it in this way. So if I go back into the quote, so yeah, by default, the software will, when you create a job, it doesn't ask you for a job name and a description, and it just sets something that based on the template that you've selected. It doesn't really help with the naming of jobs. You end up with lots of jobs called Apex Roof Extension, or I do, because I always pick the same template. But so once you get into the quote, there is an Edit Job Details button up here to do it. So I actually set something vaguely sensible for this, so I don't have my long Apex Roof with 2 Apex Valley extensions description for a job name anymore. So yeah, that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is, if I actually go back out to the job screen now, I'll come out here. So on this job screen, if you select the job that you want to do, and then there's an edit button here, that's another way of doing it. Whilst I'm here, something that I mentioned earlier, this is where you can see the file location. So if you find on the job screen, then you can do it there. And I think, yes, there's also, on a right click, there's a Show in File Explorer, and then we'll even open it up to the folder. So that makes it even easier. And oh yes, so the other thing I wanted to say about this is, again, in the EstimatorXpress options, the way that I've got it set up, if I can find it, yeah, so there's a tick box right at the top here, show the new estimate wizard when creating a new job using a template. So I have that set so that when I go to create a new job, so let me just do that. So when I go create new job and pick a template, so after I picked a template, so I then get to see this job wizard. So basically, in the background, it's setting all these, and it's just not showing you this confirmation screen just to get you into the job, and then you can worry about that later. But if you, yeah, I think certainly from a job name and description perspective, you're always going to want to change those. So yeah, I would suggest having that ticked, and then yeah, you don't need to do anything else. If you want to enter your client address and site address, you can obviously do that at this stage. But yeah, tick that. You can get a sensible job name and description before you start a job, and yeah, it makes things a lot easier to identify jobs between each other. Okay, right. So I will yeah, I'll leave it there then, and I'll go and check what havoc my children have been causing whilst I've been talking to you. So yeah, thank you all very much for attending tonight, and thank you for your continued support to HBXL and use of the software. And I look forward to speaking to some of you on the support line soon. And yeah, keep the feedback coming in. Any suggestions you have to enhance the software, improve it. Because yeah, the best ideas come from the people that use it day in day out. So yeah, please let us know how we can make it better. Okay, take care. Bye bye.